I'm Jess Kirshner, a consultant here with the Elevate team, and I have the distinct honor of introducing our panelists and leading our panel today on support for emergency permitted teachers. So I'll do a quick overview, and then we'll dive in. Before we start, I'd like everyone to close your computers, put your cell phones in your pocket. This exceptional group has given not only their time, but their resources and all of the most successful things around the programs that they lead. And so we want to give them just our respect and attention. So take 10 seconds to do that. And then second update, we are going to be recording the panel today, so you will excuse the potentially unnecessary mics for this space, but we do want to make sure that the brilliant strategies and resources that this group shares is something that we can circulate to the larger city. So you will hear us on the mic doing our thing today. All right. So we're gonna dive in. We're gonna have our panelists first introduce their name, role, and then their favorite teacher move. So I will, and you know what I mean when I say teacher move. Okay. So I'm gonna go first. Jess Kirshner, Blueprint Education Partners, and I have two favorite teacher moves. The first is the fanny pack in combination with the timer, right? So like clear directions, great economy of language, beep the timer, put it in the fanny pack. And that's mine. So name, role, and then favorite teacher move, we'll hand it to Mr. Bonilla.
Selvin Bonilla, and I'm a PE and health teacher at Pan American Charter School. My favorite teacher move is picture this being a wall, there's a light, click the light, switch the colors, and then get your kids ready. Boys drop down, and then we're ready to learn.
We're getting a little modeling here too, as one would expect.
Hello everyone, my name is Cheryl Leatherbarrow. I am the Director of Programs and Education, Graduate Education for Chestnut Hill College. And my favorite teacher move is getting their internship cert or their certification.
Hi. Hello. Hi, I'm Sam Levine. I'm with Philadelphia Hebrew Public Charter School. I am the Certification Navigator. That's my official title. Very excited, right? But my favorite teacher move is probably the self-interrupt in the middle of your sentence, followed by a very strong teacher stare. So that's for me.
Hi everyone, Diana Philo, Managing Director of Staff Engagement and Talent Development at KIPP Philadelphia Public Schools. Long title. I'm a CERT lady, HR lady. I love proximity. Just let me get real close to you.
Buenas tardes, everyone. My name is Mercedes Mason de Gomez. I am the Director of Talent Management at Pan American Academy Charter School. And my favorite teacher move is singing during transitions or dímelo en español. And so talking to a friend, because you're going to talk anyway while you transition. So just practice your español.
Good afternoon. My name is Bilkey Saba. I'm currently teaching 10th grade at Universal Autumn Reed Charter High School, Algebra 2. My favorite teacher move, it's not really a move, but one thing I like to do with my students is I have them lead out. So what they do is they say the affirmation. We do a weekly affirmation. So every day they come in, they recite this affirmation, and it really sets the tone for the day. So.
Hello, everyone. I'm Beth McAnally. I'm the Director of Teacher Development in the School District of Philadelphia. I'll give you the silly one and then the serious one. My silly one is never sit down, never stop moving. You just have to be everywhere. My more serious one as a longtime middle school choir director is to repeatedly say, every voice matters. In, not just in choir, but like all the time. Every voice matters.
Very good. All right, can we give them a round of applause? Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, as Scott shared and we saw across our several data slides, there are red flags everywhere. And while it is true that we need a comprehensive citywide strategy to solve this problem at scale, that doesn't mean we can't all learn from the collective wisdom across this coalition and take some immediate action. So if you know me, and many of you do, I like to say we don't bury the headline. And so I will just name it up front. The goal here is that every single person, after listening to this brilliant group of panelists, is taking 1, 2, 3 specific steps towards supporting either your organization and your fully built out program to support emergency permitted teachers, or other folks in the room are supporting employers to do that. So we're gonna dive in, and we'll start with Mercedes. So we will share several resources. Every single thing that this brilliant panelist group shares is in a folder that you all will have access to. So when they mention a one-pager, when they mention a survey for staff, all of the resources we're gonna share out. That being said, no one starts with a fully formed program. So, Mercedes, can you walk us through, when you thought about tackling this problem at the system level, where did you start, and give us your major milestones?
I'll give a little bit of background. In 2020, during COVID, I was assistant principal of K-3, and I had a few teachers say, Ms. Mason, we want to get certified. And so I did a little bit of research. We had a study group, and of course, we had plenty of time to meet. And so, like we like to say, there were altas y bajas, and it was a rocky road, but they were successful. And so word spread, and I had more teachers that wanted to join us, and it just was like wildfire. It caught. And then fast forward to 2024, our HR team expanded from 1 person to 3 people, and I'm fortunate enough to be a part of that team. And we really looked at our retention data. We looked at the process. I'm grateful for our partner, Chestnut Hill, because we are unique in that we need bilingual teachers because that is critical to our mission. And so thinking about our employee experience and the certification pathways, we brought our knowledge together and it really started in 2024 to change our school.
Very good. And can you walk us through, we'll start first with our employers on the panel. And maybe Diana, you can lead us off here. So give us an overview of your program, and then a comprehensive overview of the supports that it includes.
Yep. So a couple years ago, I took on certification, and the first step was just figuring out where we were. And so a couple of things that helped really move forward our process and then gave me the numbers to then get some backing included things like going line by line, PPID by PPID, to make sure I knew not only how many emergency permits someone's had, what charter they were for, and what subject they were for, which then gave me the opportunity to go to my C-suite and really share, here's the data, here's where we need to get to, this is a huge problem, how do we get more policies and backing to ensure that our teachers are getting and staying certified. So once I was able to really get our C-suite on board, we saw an increase in our tuition. We went from $2,500 to support our uncertified teachers to $5,000. We have a significant jump with, which I know is still not nearly enough, but at least it is something. We also increase when somebody gets certified, as soon as they get certified, they get a new offer letter on the certified scale. Our gen ed teachers have 1 jump. Our sped teachers jump is even higher because we know that that's a very hard to fill position. I created a website that I gave you all, I believe, a copy and a link to, which also is a one-stop shop for all of the things, whether it's we give 1 voucher per the praxis test or the PEC test each year. all of the enrollment options are listed. Not only do we have partnerships, but we also have discounts, that sort of thing. It was really trying to get all of the information together in one spot, but the biggest flip I saw was when we got the C-suite to really put in policies in place and make sure that we all knew certification had to happen, and it's now in the water. And sometimes that means hard decisions need to be made, like losing someone who does not have a sped cert and hasn't been able to get their emergency permit, because our kids deserve the best, and that might mean letting someone go in the middle of the year who didn't get that permit.
Sam, you want to share next your offerings in terms of Hebrew Public and support, what that looks like?
Sure. So we have a 3-tiered model of sponsorship and support. We were awarded a grant from the William Penn Foundation to help us kind of create this 3-tier model. So we have 3 different ones. Tier 1 is $1,000 worth of support for any teacher that's going to commit at their regular annual year of service with us. That could count as study materials, testing, application fees. Our tier 2 is a little bit more. That's if somebody's already in a program or decide on a program that isn't partnered with us. We will reimburse them and sponsor them up to $5,000 of support towards their certification. And then our 3rd tier of support is our biggest, heftiest tier of support. That is them choosing a partner organization. So I have a relationship with them as the teacher navigator. So I can be part of the process of mentoring, case management. We're kind of like holding hands throughout the whole process. And that's up to $10,000 of financial support. And the whole idea here is that everybody's at a different place. There's so many diverse profiles of teachers and that are quality for our kids, and they're in different spots, and maybe they hit other obstacles on the down the road. But I will meet them where they're at, and we'll figure out the best program for them, so that way they can get to the finish line.
So I want to start by saying that this is an intentionally evolving body of work in our district, and as a result, what I'm going to share today is kind of like a snapshot of what's happening right now. It's all predicated on our strong belief that if we move the needle for emergency permit teachers, we move the needle on everything that matters most to us in the school district: teacher retention, diversity of the teaching staff, and student achievement. So it also includes a lot of alignment across multiple teams at central office, some of my colleagues who are here today. So it starts with multiple pathways for entering the profession, and then support in navigating that certification process, daily Zoom office hours from the certification team, things like that. And then job-embedded coaching, a full year of job-embedded coaching for every new teacher, including our emergency permitted teachers. And then robust professional learning that can happen as opt-in, also through teacher induction, some opt-in mentoring support when a teacher has sort of graduated from that first year of job-embedded coaching. And then, test prep resources, that's a new body of work for us, funded by the William Penn Foundation. So there's some really exciting things happening there. And then also those advancement opportunities that because our district is so large, there's really cool things you can do. There's part-time opportunities that allow you to stay in the classroom and expand your impact across the district with your colleagues. And then also coaching roles. Our coaches were teachers previously. So that's a snapshot, and it is continually evolving.
Mercedes, could you walk us through yours as well?
We also offer tuition reimbursement, but we offer it per course with a 2-year commitment. So those pursuing a bachelor's degree, it's $2,500 per course, and master's $5,000 per course. We offer test prep, a boot camp in the summer. We also encourage our teachers to utilize Butler Community College. If you have not suggested that to your teachers, I highly recommend the program. My personal strategy is to take the exam so I can coach people through them, and so that has been successful. And then it's all about community. No one is doing this alone. And we're celebrating when teachers earn their their experience-based certification And that's what we're leveraging. They're in a program, they earn that. And then also we have, like Diane said, once you earn your experience-based certification, your salary changes to the certified salary scale. We also offer incentives along the way for passing your exams, completing 50% of your coursework, et cetera. And then we also reimburse for testing fees up to $500 per year. And that could be fees, that could also be any programs that you're using to pass the exams.
All right, now we'll hear from our most celebrated, esteemed guests, our teachers on the panel, and then we'll close it out with Cheryl. So from Ms. Saba and Mr. Bonilla, we'll start with Ms. Saba. From your perspective, walk us through the support you received in your organization and what really made the difference. What was the most helpful element of the program that you went through?
Okay. It was really all hands on deck from Universal. They paid 100% of our program. They offered us a stipend as well. It was really no excuse for us to be not. It was no barrier for us not to be able to get it done. And I really appreciated that. I had a baby halfway through our program, so even me having a baby and having to take a step back from the program and not being able to complete it in time, it was flexibility. They were understanding. And it wasn't a lot of pressure, like when are you going to be done? Like when are you going to get done? It was more of how can we support you in completing the program. So running into Dr. Nixon, she was in Miss Woods. They were always, hey, how's it going? What can we do? How are the classes? How's the courses? And really receiving the feedback and talking to LaSalle, who we partner with, to really make sure that the teachers were able to, I guess, be successful in their program.
And did you have milestones and a plan along the way? You knew what was going to be required for second, third, in terms of the process?
I think for me, I came into the program, I wasn't a teacher. I didn't start out as a teacher. I actually, when they offered the program, I was working as an administrative assistant. And I asked Gary Nelson, like, hey, do you think I should apply for this? And she's like, yes, I think you should. So from there, I became a classroom assistant to support my role, in my development to working towards my certification. When I got to Universal Art and Read, I was in the math class and the geometry class. So I was able to work with a teacher who was exceptional at what she does. She was passionate about what she does. So I was able to, she was modeling for me how to be a good math teacher, which also encouraged me to step into that role. As far as the program, they were upfront about the requirements. And again, with me getting pregnant, which postponed me to be able to finish in time. It did set me back. So while my cohort was able to move on, I did feel kind of left out. But, just seeing them finish encouraged me to finish as well.
And congratulations. Yes. All right, Mr. Bonilla.
So I'm still in the program. I'm actually with getting my master's with Chestnut Hill College. From the questions that were asked before, I feel like as a teacher, I work for Pan American Public Charter School. I'm with Ms. Mason. I must say that since the program started with Ms. Mason has always been there. The support has been there. I like Ms. Saba was saying, there is no excuse for me to like not get certified because the support was given to me. As a teacher, I feel like sometimes people don't get certified because there's life, there's time, there's also the support. You can find it sometimes, but when a program like this comes around, then you say, okay, let me take the opportunity to like get certified. I must say that I've been working for 8 years as a teacher and never found the opportunity to get certified. I did try, but you find all these roadblocks along the side. And then this program was presented to me, and there's also another people in the program with me, and they all are grateful because it's an opportunity that really you don't find. And once you come around, if you have a question, they're always there. If you get stuck on something, they provide, like Miss Mason was saying, we went to like a boot camp for prep test. You study for the test, you know what's coming, you know what's ahead of you. I know what it was expected of me, and I have been completing milestone after milestone, and I must say that as of right now, I'm still working on my master's, but I am certified as a PE teacher, health, and I'm a Spanish. I have a Spanish certification as well, thanks to this opportunity.
Very good.
All right, and we'll hear from Cheryl, then we'll round up on some themes.
Okay, so before I start talking about our actual partnerships, I think it's important to understand who Chestnut Hill College is. We were founded by the Sisters of St. Joseph's, and all of our work is around their mission, which is to help our dear neighbor. That is all of you, and that is our partners. And that work is rooted in social justice, which is what we are all here doing, trying to provide quality education for each and every one of our children, and by doing that, providing them quality educators. So that said, when we reach out and we start working with partners, all of our partners are different because just like relationships, our partners' needs are different and their partners' teachers are different. So we have a couple of different ways we've partnered, and the first primary thing we do is we listen to what those needs are before we form partnerships. So we have smaller partnerships where we might get 1 or 2 students a year for a number of years. Those students just blend right in. That's much like Hebrew Public is going to be doing with us. And they blend into our regular program, and we will be working to support those teachers in our courses, but also in their jobs. So it goes both ways, and we'll be working with Hebrew Public to make sure that everything is going smoothly. Our other partners are a little larger, and they send us larger number of students as a cohort, so those students stay all together, they take courses all together. Some prefer to do that online, such as Pan American is working online, and they also have the need of having Spanish-speaking teachers. So we actually work with Pan American, thank you so much, Mercedes, for finding us highly qualified professors who then become our adjuncts and deliver the instruction. I forgot to mention, too, that with our larger cohorts, we can also cater a little bit more to not just what our curriculum is, but how that curriculum really hits the road. Like how does that sit in your schools? So, and it really helps too when we can pull some adjuncts then from our schools to do just that work. So Pan American is a different language delivery and also online, but we also work with SESI schools. We're in our fourth cohort with SESI, fourth cohort with SESI schools. And they meet needs of special learners, like that specialized educational schools is what their focus is. And so for them, it's really important, since they have a number of schools, they'd like for all of their teachers to be together, but on their campus. So we actually have our teaching happen at their campus. Their timing is different. They like that to be right after school so that they can close their buildings when they need to at night. And so we send teachers, but they also have some of their teachers have become our adjuncts as well. And again, we work with them and listen to them regarding how our curriculum, which is really what's required by PDE, sits in their school, lives in their school. So and by the way, that's a really energizing thing for us as well, because that keeps us relevant, right? So when we're teaching our regular programs, we have a better idea then of how it is all living out there in your schools. So that's really wonderful too. I want to emphasize saying that when we developed our partnerships, again, that listening is really important. And so if you are looking for partnerships, just make sure that you find someone who you work well with, right? So it's just like any other relationship. You have to work on it. You have to be good communicators. And along that line, we meet regularly with our partners. We have one person who acts as the liaison and advisor for all the students in that partnership to make sure that everything is running smoothly and everything's going well.
And can you give us just the bullets, the programs you offer for folks who might not know?
Sure. We offer graduate degrees, Masters of Education programs as post-baccalaureate, also certificate programs. So I think the beauty of our programs is if you come for our certificate program and you complete that, it's only just one more course to get your master's. So once you have your cert, you really probably should just go and take that one last course and get your master's. It is in educational research. So that does turn some people off, but it's more like action research. So we make it very, very practical. It does intimidate some, but it's so important to your work. So we make it very, very applicable to teachers' lived professions. So our actual programs are early childhood, secondary ed, special education, and then we offer dual programs. So you can get a dual secondary and special ed, or a dual elementary, early childhood and special ed. We also offer a fast and furious is what I like to call it, principal certification program, but also a Master's of Education in Educational Leadership, which is more like your traditional 30 credits. The principal cert is 18 credits, soup to nuts.
Do you have Fast and Furious Principal Cert on the website?
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
Okay. All right, Michael, could I ask you to hold up that sheet? Sure. Yeah. So for those of us, if you don't have these, throw your hands up and a member of our team will share it. That was a thorough overview, but a verbal overview. And so if you want on 2 sheets of paper exactly what the program offerings are and what the supports are that all of the panelists just shared, we do have that. We do have that in a handout for you to reference. All right. Okay. We're going to talk now about data. So for our, and we're going to head back to our employer panelists. So we have the thorough overview of everything that you offer, the systems, the supports, the cohorting, the tracking, the one-on-one relationships. And if you had to distill down the most effective thing that your organization does or that you do to drive outcomes, what element of your program would that be? We'll start first with our employers, and then we'll have a follow-up for our teachers. Beth, could you start?
Sure. I want to just really articulate how much this landscape keeps changing. And while myself and my team do our best to stay really dialed into what teacher experiences are, it's really has been very important for us to not assume that we have the full picture. So it really starts with trying to look at data at multiple levels. And are we getting the satellite data for sure, but also the map and the street data? So that might include things like annual surveys of our emergency permit teachers, annual surveys of our school leaders who support them, annual surveys of our coaches who support them. But it also includes looking at just aggregate numbers and disaggregating it by things like hire date and school and certification area, things of that nature. We can convene a new teacher advisory board so that we can ask questions and really engage in dialogue. And then we go to schools a lot. And one of the interesting impacts of this has been, while I think myself and my team knew the biggest barriers to becoming certified, the overall impact that was having on emergency permit teachers is hard to capture in that satellite data. So when we hear teachers say, my family is counting on this paycheck, I can't pass this test, what am I going to do? I'm going to lose my job. How anyone in that circumstance have any bandwidth for showing up as their best self in that classroom at that moment, just the overall impact, being able to be there for their families, and to be able to concentrate on their schoolwork and concentrate on the test. So one of the things that came from that, I mentioned before the study groups and the test prep work that we're doing. So we have study.com licenses that we can provide to our teachers at no cost, and then compensated study groups. So they're getting PD pay for participating in it. And then what we learned from that was a little surprising too. While the stories are coming in, like the teacher who had failed, 3 or 4 times, and then got the passing score that was 8 points from perfect. That's just a really neat story. But the thing that is harder to quantify is how much our teachers are thriving in community. that the study groups were bonding so quickly and at such a deep level that then teachers were on their own getting together in pairs and trios to study together. And then the email chains that come from our experienced teachers who are paid to be facilitators, the email chains with, oh, so-and-so is going to take their test, everybody wish them luck. And then the follow-up with, oh, I passed. You just can't quantify that just by looking at the data. So in terms of like the highest leverage move, I think it's just like we're always asking ourselves, what are we missing? What part of this story, what perspective don't we have a full picture on? And how can we learn more so that we're providing supports that actually address what our teachers need, so that then they've got that bandwidth to be able to support their students the way we know that they want to. And you know, for our emergency permit teachers, in some cases, these are folks who bring such amazing, in all cases, these are folks who bring such amazing assets to the classroom and to their students. But in some cases, these are folks who might not thrive in some of the traditional ways of getting to that certification. So those are the stories that we're really trying to tap into, so that the supports we're providing are capturing some of those folks and being able to see them through instead of having to delay their certification, because instead of just like doing the educational obligation year that is must attempt the test, that they have to go to that second year where they must pass the test. Like, what a ridiculous amount of pressure for anybody to have to deal with. If we can even just shorten that by that year, so that they have that year to attempt the test and then they pass it, and then they can move forward. So that's what we're kind of working on right now. There's a lot of pieces to this puzzle that involve a lot of parts of a lot of folks at central office and in the schools and in the regional offices who are working together on this. This is just, you know, one snapshot out. But I think my recommendation here is just always be looking for other ways to understand the situation. No one person can hold a full, complete perspective on it.
Thank you. Thank you. Mercedes, you want to give your overview next? Thank you.
I echo what Beth said. I will say one thing that we leverage is our certification progress monitoring tool. And so I meet with everyone who is on our uncertified scale monthly. And the test is a huge barrier. And what we do is, if or when someone fails a test, is I look at their score report and I put my educator hat on and I analyze each subcategory, and then we make a plan according to your personal scores of what you need to focus on. So for example, I have 3 educators that are taking the fundamental subjects content knowledge exam. They're retaking it for the second time, all 3. And so I have made a study guide with some links specifically for math, because that's what they struggle in. And so I really think the personal touches, the individual check-in, yes, community, but we have to do the heavy lifting for our teachers, because we can take that off of their plate and say, I got you, I'm going to do the research, here are the materials, let me know how I can support you, and come back once you take the exam.
And we do, we have a sample tracker in the toolkit that we'll share, and many of these resources. So, Diana?
Earlier, I mentioned kind of how we reset expectations that certification is a requirement. Where I think I lacked was explaining the data, the line by line, person by person, and transparency to each school. So not only do, anytime somebody joins our organization, they fill out a survey so we know where they fell in terms of where they are in the process. Even I have no idea is an option on my survey, starting brand new. So that at least gives people a jumping off point so we can help them from the beginning of the year to October. October, we do another survey point so we can update, are they on track, off track, in a program, attempted the test, etc. So not only can a principal, assistant principals look at the data and see, okay, I'm going into my winter reviews, who's on track, who's off track, how do we support this person in the next 6 months so we ensure that they can have more success in the following 6 months. that is one thing we do. And the way in which we can break down the data, it's sometimes not always as transparent or easy to read as it needs to be for principals. And so always offering meetings so they can truly go line by line, person by person, so they too can be as in the weeds as we are, to also provide that on the ground support beyond my team where we're doing some individualized support.
So this is our pilot year in this program. So it's been a lot of me navigating this new field alongside my teachers. At first, I thought that the incentives were going to be the push for teachers, right? Increase your salary on our salary scale. Commit your time to us. Your position will be here for 2 years once you finish certification. Like, please stay with us. That's part of the deal. Or 3 years if you're getting that full tier 3 support. And that wasn't really. I mean, all of those things are really important to our teachers. But actually, I think that the data that I've been gathering is that all of our teachers really want this, but they're really held back by all of the obstacles. So the strongest data I have in this like qualify way is that they need somebody to be with them throughout this process, and it can't be another teacher because teachers have far too much to do. So a mentor teacher can only do so much, and leadership has way too much to do too. And so my role as certification navigators, I can be that role where we can really prioritize, okay, we have to call your program. We also have to call Tim's. We have to make a plan. What are you going to have done next week? And I know it sounds a little micromanagey, but that psychology piece of like we're on the same team and we have the same goal is the piece that I think that I would just like scream in this room, is that I think that teachers need someone as a rallying force for them to get across this finish line, because without it, it's too much jargon. The state's things change, the program things change, their teaching changes. You know, they might switch from grade, each grade. So having someone to be there as that mentor, that like solid rock is the biggest piece.
Ms. Saba and Mr. Bonilla, could you share as several employers and certainly other community members in the room, what do you want them to know as they are improving their supports to emergency permitted teachers? What advice are you giving employers in the room?
I think speaking to the actual, like getting the actual certification and sitting for the test was a big component for me. We didn't, well, I know for me, I think just because I had to finish after my cohort had started, I wasn't able to receive the same supports from LaSalle regarding like the test prep. So I relied, my sister was actually getting certified at the same time. So I relied heavily on a lot of the resources that she had. Universally, we're able to provide, you know, some links from study.com, but the resources that my sister had, I was really able to prepare, and I was able to pass the SPED test, the practice, the first time I sat for it. So, and I felt prepared and I was confident. But speaking to the community too, if I didn't have my sister and we weren't going through it together, I don't think I would have been as successful. So that community and just having your peers and the other teachers going through that process with you really does make a difference.
And building that intentional community.
Yes.
Yeah, not just you're all on the same listserv, here's your milestone, get this done in 2 weeks. Like that authentic community. Yes. Yes. It's a family affair for you.
Yes.
You guys.
Yes. We're all
and welcoming a new addition. Everybody certified.
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Bonilla, would you be willing to share advice for employers?
I would say time and flexibility. The one thing that was given to me was the time and the flexibility to take my test. For example, let me give you guys an example. Sometimes we are busy teaching, busy with our life, but then I was given the opportunity to maybe during a PD day, I went and took an exam. That's I could always come back and like form part of that PD day, but I had the time to go and take the test during. They built that time in for me to actually go and take the test. The check-ins are very important. Sometimes you just need somebody to come and say like, how's the program going? Because you can get sidetracked by it. But then if they come and check in and they say, what do you need from me? Even if you don't need anything, it's just like that check in gets you back on track because we tend to go sideways when we get busy with a lot of things. But I you mentioned Tim's. Let me give you guys a funny story. I, when my last certifications came in, I didn't even know about it. I was so busy teaching. But Miss Mason came into my office and she was like, "Have you checked your email?" And I'm like, "No, I haven't." And then she was like, "Well, you're certified." But she did all of that. That's the support they provide, and like that's amazing that you don't even have to like sometimes check in on like your own temps, and and I feel like the support and the flexibility it just gives you the time to anybody who wants to follow this path.
Sorry, I just wanted to add one more thing. I think it's important to make sure that the program that employers select to partner with really aligns with the lifestyles and the needs of the teachers. Because, like for me having when I got pregnant, I had to sit out for a semester and I wasn't able to complete the summer practicum, which pushed me back. And I couldn't do my student teaching, and it just delayed a lot in that process. So really making sure like the programs are aligning with the needs of your teachers is really important.
Yes, that's right. All right, so this, we don't need to hear from every employer, but as the spirit moves you, we've heard several highly impactful strategies, things as deep as, one-on-one check-ins and knowing that folks are certified before they know they're certified. And oftentimes as organizations, we don't have the 3 or 4 additional staff members. We don't all have the William Penn grant, right? We've got what we've got. And our charge walking out of here today is that everyone is taking a significant next step. So I'd love to hear, how did you, for those of you who felt you did this successfully, how did you enroll your senior leadership team in the idea that you need a long-term strategy, in the idea that you need a program, in the idea that you need a partner, in the idea that you need a FTE or a little bit of someone else's time to support you? Like, talk to us about the internal advocacy that's required before you have a beautiful one-pager.
I would love to start and jump in. It was all the actual numbers. When I showed my senior leadership team how many people were on emergency permits and the long-term trajectory of how many we would have to lose year after year, that really spoke to the organization as a whole and allowed us to simply create yes, systems and structures, but also prioritizing and putting money behind the certification, because the problem wasn't going to go away with just giving the data, but figuring out how do we make this data change and this number shift. And so that was really, I think, the turning point for my organization.
And Diana, how did you get that data?
I went line by line, PPID by PPID, to ensure I've had a full understanding. And there were some people who we had thought were certified because they told us they were, and surprise, surprise, they were not. So when there are probably some PPIDs that I have memorized because I was like looking up people constantly. And so that really, it was so tedious, but now we have a system that we just flip year after year, so we know ongoing where people fall.
And we know the pain of what it is to solve a slice of this problem, but you took all of that data and said, here's the opportunity cost of not acting big. Helpful. Anyone else want to share?
Yeah, I just wanted to articulate that this advocacy is not a one and done. It is constantly like, can we position the people who are the right voice in the room with the stories that need to be told and the stories that align to the priorities of senior level leadership. And the stories need to be told on multiple levels. There's the micro level, And sometimes you got to start there. Tell one teacher's story. This teacher that we didn't want to lose, that we lost because, and then tell the big picture story. Because when you do that, when you have those compelling stories to tell, then you have the big picture, but you also can imagine someone that is directly impacted by that, and then how that impacts our kids.
I just want to say, my position exists because our leadership had this idea already. They applied for this grant because they saw that this was something that continued to happen, right? Emergency certified teachers, it was a revolving door. Quality humans were not going to be able to teach our kids, and that's what they deserve because of these barriers. So then once, basically my role was written into this grant along with the financial sponsorship with the commitment at the end, right? This idea of retention. I think that my job every day is actually pushing that piece of, like, we have to keep doing this. There's data each time I get into a meeting with our school leadership of, in order to do this program, we need to place this teacher here. Oh, this teacher needs to be in a professional development for this program next week. But then we also have the numbers of, we already have 2 or a teacher certified, and another one is going to be certified in May. So, like, I think the continued conversation with leadership is just as important as that first pitch.
I agree. We have weekly administrative team meetings, and so every meeting we have a HR spotlight, and so we are constantly reviewing the data. And I would just say that yes, all of the stories matter, but you need to have a voice at the table that represents the teachers. And so one thing that I always say is our mission is to prepare bilingual, internationally inquiring minds, but where's the bilingual piece if our international teachers aren't here? And so what are we doing to uplift them and make sure that we can complete our mission because they are here and they are the ones that have probably the barrier that is hardest to overcome because of language, but yet that's reflective of our community and where we are in North Philadelphia. They are a reflection of our students. And so if we want our students to thrive, our teachers need to thrive as well. And so that means that they need professional growth and they need to be seen and heard and valued, because then that just trickles down to our students.
All right. What is one, and this is for any of our panelists, what is one mistake you made, if you're willing to be vulnerable with us, in the spirit of moving the collective coalition forward? What is one big mistake you made that others could avoid if they're starting their journey now?
This is going to make me sound so probably a little skeptical as a human. When I was helping support people get an offer letter for the next year, I took a lot of people by just their word of what they reported, and I didn't ask to see the transcript, or I didn't ask to actually see the score report. And then lo and behold, we were in November and that thing didn't happen. And so while I don't love having to say I need to see X in order for you to do Y, it does save a lot of heartache on the back end, because then you're not in the fall saying to this person, you no longer can work here because you don't have the appropriate certification.
I'm writing trust but verify on my handout. Yeah.
I would say that I underestimated the amount of times teachers would have to retake exams, and just the impact on self-esteem. And I feel like I'm with them in the trenches, so their success is my success, their failure is my failure. But it's a blow, because you know you show up every day and you do the best for your students. And because in an unjust system of I teach in Spanish and instruct completely in my native language, but I have to pass an exam that based upon American educational systems in English, it's really hard to navigate that. And so I would say the exam is a huge barrier. Whatever you can do to demystify it and help teachers do that, because that is what stands between them and an experience-based certification when they're in a program.
I think for those of us who came through fairly traditional ways to certification, it is very easy to underestimate just the sheer sustainability challenges that our emergency permanent teachers are facing. I can't imagine what scenario this would have been for me if I was trying to work full-time, work a second job to pay for courses, and had children at home. Like, just, we can't underestimate the human toll.
Can we give a round of applause to our teachers? Thank you for your vulnerability and for sharing, not only what the finished product looks like, but what it took to get there. I'll close this out with just a 10-second headline. We have 50 plus resources that were mentioned today, everything from a survey to find out where your teachers are, to the tracker that was mentioned, to all of the partnership cohort materials, emails, on and on and on. And so we will circulate that with a follow-up. Thank you again. Another round of applause for our team.